The U.S. Embassy in Manila issued a brief statement on Tuesday, calling Duterte's move a serious step with significant implications for the U.S.-Philippine alliance. "We will carefully consider how best to move forward to advance our shared interests," the statement read. The U.S., which provided some $550 million in military assistance to the Philippines from 2016 to 2019, conducts joint military exercises, such as the annual joint exercise dubbed Balikatan, or Shoulder to Shoulder, in Tagalog, with Filipino troops. Balikatan, which sometimes also includes Australian and Japanese forces, is seen as a show of force against possible military adventures by China. The U.S. also has kept as many as 100 Special Forces troops on the Philippine island of Mindanao on a rotating basis to help in Manila's fight against terrorist group Abu Sayyaf and other militants linked to the Islamic State. U.S. troops were on the ground in 2017, aiding the Philippine military during a siege of militants in the southern city of Marawi. The U.S. Navy is also seen as a bulwark against China's territorial ambitions in the South China Sea. About a third of global shipping passes through its sea lanes, and the U.S. conducts freedom of navigation operations in those waters in a bid to keep them open to China's displeasure. Such FONOPs could become increasingly dangerous as the two powers find themselves in. The Philippines, a former U.S. territory that gained independence in 1946, has long viewed Washington as its strongest ally. Besides the FA, it also has a mutual defense treaty with the U.S. that dates back to the 1950s. But some analysts say that pact, along with the Obama administration's Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, could be in jeopardy if the agreement governing visiting U.S. forces is scrapped. Duterte came to office 3 years ago with strong words for Washington. Among other things, he has said the U.S. treats the Philippines as like a dog on a leash and has accused U.S. forces of clandestine activities in the country. After assuming power in 2016, Duterte executed a dramatic pivot away from the U.S. and toward China, increasingly the dominant regional power. Renato de Castro, professor of international studies at De La Salle University in Manila, told NPR that the decision to jettison the Visiting Forces Agreement is part of Duterte's desire to do away with the U.S., so there is no obstacle in his pivot to China. He says the cancellation of De La Rosa's visa is merely an excuse. The U.S. has 180 days to respond to the notice of the FA's termination. Duterte has said that President Trump wants to save the deal. However, the Philippine Star quotes presidential spokesman Pinelo as saying Duterte will not entertain entreaties from the U.S., nor will he accept an invitation to visit the White House. But in one tweet, Foreign Affairs Secretary Lacson seemed to suggest the cancellation of the pact was mostly a bargaining tactic aimed at getting some unspecified concessions from Washington. And last week, in a televised Senate hearing, Lacson noted the crucial security, trade and economic benefits that the accord provides. Terminating the FA will negatively impact the Philippine security and defense arrangements, as well as the overall bilateral relations of the Philippines with the U.S., and perhaps even on the sub-regional level, he said, adding, "Our contribution to regional defense is anchored on our military alliance with the world's last superpower."